Hello, everyone, and welcome to Chasing a Murderer. It's been a while since I've uploaded a series covering Lori Vallow and Chad Daybell, and that series is called Life Beyond the Grave. We're on part 180. Now, I'm not going to waste a lot of time. We're going to go ahead and get right into it. So, just to kind of get a recap here, remember, they believe in pre-mortal life. Rumors out there say that Lori Vallow believed that her daughter, Tylee Ryan, was harboring her sister's spirit, Stacy, and that Lori's deceased sister, Lolly, had come back. Just recently, Krisha said that she learned that Janice was teaching her daughter, Lori, that Lolly had actually come back in the form of Lori. So these pre-mortal lies basically give them the idea that they can live out their life. If it doesn't go right, they just get another chance. Something interesting about Lori and Chad's premortal existence is they have always been somebody very special, especially to the biblical history. Chad Daybell had been James the Just. Lori had been married to Moroni. Several people within their circle had been her family in the past. Lori has a close history with Moroni. In fact, she said Moroni appeared to her in a temple in September 22nd. We're not certain of the year, but it was a few years back. It seems that these group of people were using Chad's ranking system that he and Tammy had used over the years, which didn't include hurting anyone. They ranked people light and dark, and Lori seemed to have taken over that ranking system and turned it into something more fabulous. In fact, if you're ranked dark, you had a big chance of becoming a zombie. If you become a zombie, guess what happens? You die. So we learned that David and Melenie Gibb had been staying with Lori at her townhome over the weekend. They said that they woke up the early AM morning of the 23rd in the middle of the night after David had a horrible nightmare. The nightmare was so devastating that Melanie Gibb wanted to get a blessing from Chad or Lori. But when she went to try to get a hold of Lori, her door was locked and she didn't see her. They couldn't get a hold of Chad either. It is rumored that David believed that this nightmare may have been a warning about Lori's children. And we have learned that David believed, and others did as well, that David had a gift of seeing things, a visionary gift. And David said in a testimony that he had had several dreams or visions, things like foreign countries invading the U.S., earthly disasters, horrific visions. But those visions didn't weigh up to the vision he had on September 23rd. So this nightmare that he had left him an emotional wreck. It took him a bit of time to be able to settle down and fall back to sleep. They got up early that morning, packed their bags to prepare to leave. They head downstairs where they find Lori in the kitchen. David Warwick said he was very interested in JJ and asked where he was because he wanted to tell JJ goodbye. Before we go more into that, let's remember that Melanie Gibb knew JJ was deemed a dark entity / zombie, and she also knew that Lori's patience was running very thin with JJ. Just recently, maybe even hours ago, Melanie and Lori were discussing some way to pawn JJ off on someone else, and supposedly that someone else would be Kay Woodcock, JJ's grandmother or Charles' sister. So they were standing in the kitchen, or sitting, and Lori tells David JJ wasn't here, that he's with Alex Cox, her brother. He had come to get him because he was climbing on the cabinets, the refrigerator, and knocked over a picture of Jesus. According to Lori, JJ had even climbed to the very tip top of the cabinets right before you hit the ceiling, which if you looked at those cabinets and how high up that is in the space, usually in between the cabinets and the ceiling, there's not much room there. David said that he had doubts about what Lori was telling him. David, in disbelief, said he scanned the kitchen for scuff marks, peered at the top of the highest cabinets, and said that there was absolutely no way in his mind that JJ could get on the very top of those cabinets. So he started to have a lot of doubt about what Lori was saying to him. And he believes that Lori may be lying. It's also important to keep in mind that both Melanie Gibb and David Warwick knew Lori didn't want JJ anymore, and that they both knew JJ was now a zombie in her eyes. As if JJ hasn't been through enough. He had lost everything meaningful in his life. His dad, his sister, his brother, his family, his friends, his teachers, his health, his stability, and anyone that cared and loved him, including his service dog. For a boy that lost everything, it must have been devastating. His own mom didn't want him anymore. His uncle was preparing to bury him on Chad's property. Chad was more than on board with taking lives and offering his own home as a burial site for 2 murders. I have to imagine, because according to Garth's testimony, when he later sees his dad, which we'll talk about, he says his dad is in yard work clothes, which is incredibly unusual for Chad. So this September, mid-morning, Chad Daybell must be anxiously awaiting the arrival of JJ and Alex Cox. So Agent Rick Wright and Doug Hart, some of my very favorite people, shared GPS information on Alex Cox's phone that day. And this GPS information for that morning turned out to be quite interesting. And we'll go over some of the testimony about that GPS information. Now, we feel very lucky about the GPS information that they did acquire. But just to let you know, it isn't all that much. Just enough to say what time he was there and about how long. So here's what we know. Before 9:59 a.m., September 23rd, Alex Cox was at his own apartment. Knowing what we know today, was he at his apartment or was his phone just at that apartment? By 9:21 a.m., his phone was at Chad Daybell's property near the east end of the barn. So before we go further, let's take a look at this piece of property. So here's Chad's barn, which is behind his house. And then you can see right behind it is the pet cemetery. And just to the right of it is the fire pit. And to the very left, that deep pit you see is the pond. For September 23rd, this pond area will be the most important. We know that on September 9th, that Tylee Ryan was charred, dismembered, then put into the pet cemetery. On September 23rd, JJ Vallow will lay just a few feet away from her. First, let's go over the timeline. Around 2:42 a.m. to around 3:47 a.m., Alex Cox's cell phone is at Lori Vallow's Rexburg apartment. This is very interesting because this is the same exact time almost, somewhere in this time frame, that Melanie Gibb and David Warwick, they have gone to sleep, and Melanie wakes David up because he's having a nightmare. Some people have speculated that David and Melanie might have heard something that night. And why is it that Alex Cox is still at Lori's apartment? David and Melanie both said they never saw Alex leave. At 4:37 a.m., Alex Cox's phone is back at his own apartment just a few doors away. Now, there's something else I want to bring to your attention. If JJ had been his life taking between 2:42 a.m. to 3:47 a.m. during the time Alex was at Lori's apartment, if David and Melanie were awake at some point during that time, Melanie said she did go out of the room and tried to get to Lori, but for some reason, Lori wouldn't answer the door. Are Alex Cox and Lori in the same bedroom with JJ? Now, it's around 9:15 a.m. that Alex Cox's phone is located just south of Chad Daybell's home in Salem, Idaho. By 9:55 a.m. till around 10:12 a.m., Alex Cox's phone pings on Chad Daybell's property, specifically near the pond where JJ Vallow's body was actually later found. Now, I've struggled with getting this part of the timeline finished, but I think I'm going to wait until later on to go over more details of this. So around 11:45 a.m., Alex Cox's location moves away from Chad Daybell's property. They speculated that Alex Cox most likely was on that property 17 minutes at least, or a little more. Oddly, they were not able to get any GPS information on Chad Daybell that day. This gives you an idea that this was premeditated and they were planning on hiding whatever they were doing this day. Now, Alex Cox makes a phone call to his sister Lori around 10:13 a.m. that morning. Just minutes later, Alex Cox is back at the apartments. And by 10:20 a.m., Alex is back at his apartment. So whatever's going on this day with JJ, Lori has been in contact with her brother. And since Alex Cox's cell phone data indicates that he was on Chad Daybell's property for only 17 minutes, what we know that happened to JJ would make it impossible for them to complete that job in that time. Jumping back, we know that Chad Daybell worked at a graveyard. He was a sexton on and off for years. According to a forensic pathologist, they found a plastic bag taped over JJ's head, duct tape tightly bounding his hands and wrists. There was another strip of duct tape covering his mouth, and there was other additional duct tape, which we'll talk about later on. This forensic pathologist noted he saw scratch-like abrasions on his neck. This suggested that JJ might have been struggling to remove that bag. They also found bruises on his ankles. And bruises only happen when blood flow is happening to your legs. So there's a possibility that he was alive when he was taped. There was also symmetrical bruising on his upper arms that occurred before his death. They also found low levels of GHB, but it was inconclusive whether or not that was administered to him, since it can be naturally present. I wasn't sure why they didn't go into deeper details on this, the people that did the autopsy, and it might have been to try to spare the family pain. But when we're talking about a trial and you're dealing with a jury, you don't want to spare anybody anything. Since he had bruising, that bruising definitely happened while he was alive. And this tells you a story of what a young autistic boy faced because of his mother's decision, planning, a woman deemed a good mother. Where did this take place and when? They don't know. They suspect that Alex Cox is responsible for the child's demise, but this is not certain. Someone has to do the rest of the work. Someone has to put more tape, dig a hole, place rocks and plywood, and cover it up with dirt. I doubt all of this could have been done in 17 minutes. But if you think about the evidence that we know right now, he was probably taped beforehand. 17 minutes. Had JJ been taped before he got there? Or were they able to tape, bind, and carry out this horrific event in that 17 minutes? All right, guys, so I'm going to leave you with that because I really have trouble talking about this. I've been stuck here for a while, and I still haven't finished investigating this part. So who was living at this home during this time? Chad Daybell, his wife Tammy, and his son Garth. Somehow they managed to bury a young boy, a teenage girl, burn her without any witnesses. I wanted to share that we did learn that the garage is at least 100 yards from the barn. You can look out the back window of their home and see some of that area. Also, they had Emma Daybell and her family not too far away from them. So, guys, this is not how I wanted to do this part for JJ, but I ran out of time because I'm still actually investigating this case, still adding to this diary hours and hours and hours and days and years. And so I'll come back to it if I find something new. Now, I might hop back and forth a little bit here simply because there's a lot of this and that's we need to add in here for those of you looking for, some of that unknown information. Now, Justin Lum actually covered something quite interesting back in the day. Can you believe we're saying that? It's been that long. Where Chad Daybell was actually planning to make one of his books a film. And he was going to do that with Devin K. Hansen. We learned that a woman on the airport talked to Chad, and Chad told her that he was going a different direction. Well, he had told Devin something that they had been talking about on and off for a while, that his plans for that movie was on hold. He wasn't doing it anymore. Also, Alex Cox, when he left Chad's property, he went to visit Dan's window tinting, and that was around 1:53 through 1:58 on September 23rd. They just finished taking the life of someone, and they were right back on schedule, preparing to take more lives in the near future. Special Agent FBI Rick Wright testified to this in court.
At 13:53 to 13:58, the device appears to be at a Dan's window tinting, 2551 West, 6800 South in Rexburg. It returns to that same location on Wednesday, September 25th, just for really a minute or two, at 1902 to 1903. 902 and 903, excuse me. And then it comes back later that same day, 11:57 to 11:59. And those are the only 3 times I observed that in September or October.
So investigators believe that this window tinting had something to do with another event where they plan to take another life just a few weeks from now. So Charles Vallow, deemed a zombie, gone. Tyler Ryan, deemed a zombie, gone. JJ Vallow, deemed a zombie, gone. Who else was deemed a zombie? Brandon Boudreaux, Kay Woodcock. So most likely it would have to be one of those 2, right? So I found the text message that was sent to Lori that early September 23rd a.m. after David had this horrific nightmare. She wrote, "We sent this to Chad about 2 this morning. David woke up with great pain and sorrow in his heart. He felt something big was going to happen. It was going to happen now or soon. Please call when you can. Maybe you can help him understand it. Whatever it is, it's immediate. He can't get to these people, and there's nothing he could do for them." So David Warwick's nightmare at 2 in the morning, about the same time that Alex Cox is there with Lori, with JJ. Maybe, perhaps they could have heard something. We don't know. But it was very interesting. But David said this was one of the most horrific nightmares he ever had. And when you read this text, it doesn't really go into any kind of detail that would suggest that this was something that could be worse than the destruction of Earth. Perhaps there was something more going on with that we don't know about. Many people have suspected whether or not Melenie Gibb was taking part in these plans that Lori, Alex, and Chad had. The fact that she's talking like that around the same time that they're planning to do whatever they did to JJ, it's a red flag. According to David and Melenie, David said this nightmare was so bad he was screaming and tossing in his bed. It was a horrifying dream. Something that was so bad they needed a middle of the night priesthood blessing from either Lori or Chad. So in other pieces, I'm going to tell you right now, the 2 trials that I've covered, I haven't been able to cover all the timeline because there's so much to it. It says that they sent this text around 4:37 a.m., which is about the same time that Alex Cox would start moving. And we know that Melenie Gibb says that this nightmare is true and that David Warwick suspects some serious and imminent danger. The fact that they're sensing something bad was about to happen at the same time that they're executing a child's demise. Something's not right or missing in this timeline. Now, Melenie Gibb testified for investigators, and she is a nervous disaster testifying on this part, which is also a red flag. I'm going to play that for you. Whenever Melenie Gibb takes this big, deep snuff or breath or sniff, whatever you want to call it, that is a sign that she's either being not truthful, embarrassed, or something else. She also fidgets a lot, so just pay attention. I'm telling you, something's wrong here. This is why I can't finish this part.
Do you know where he went when he went upstairs?
Because he went into Lori's room because he wasn't in David's or I's room, my room. Those rooms are empty, so he had to have been in there.
And then you didn't see him again that night?
Who? JJ?
Alex.
He left. No.
And JJ left. JJ's still up there.
Yeah. And I never saw JJ either.
Right, but the Alex left. You watched him leave.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we heard the door open and close, and we probably said good night or something. I mean, maybe. We're podcasting. Who knows?
I don't see him walk out with JJ.
Not walk out. Mm-mm. No, just walk out.
Okay.
Just walk out.
That's right.
And when he left the first time, we didn't see him take him. We just know he had him because she said that he didn't take it off.
Right.
I don't recall that. I just remember he wasn't there.
But the time he left, so he brings JJ in, and then he leaves again. He did not take JJ out of the room or out of the apartment. Okay. So you get done with your podcast, everybody goes their separate way, and everybody goes to their bedrooms. And David, I recall David having his dream. He woke up.
Yeah, funky.
Did he come and get you, tell you?
No, I was actually laying beside him when it happened.
In which room?
In JJ's official room.
Okay. So he woke up and you were at the side of him.
Yeah.
And tell me about what happened from there.
His heart was beating. He was distressed. He said, I just had this really bad dream. And then he kind of sat up and he was just, and he just was, I said, well, tell me about it. And he's like, it was just so dark. He's like, I saw an earthquake and I saw people hurting and I wanted to help them and I couldn't, and something like that. That's what it feels like remembering. But it was like his heart was hurting. Like his whole body was under distress. When he has dreams, they're like lifetime dreams. You know, some people dream vividly. I do not dream like that. He has incredible dreams where he feels everything in his dream. So it affects him at a totally different level.
Okay.
So that's what happened. So then I think, oh my gosh, maybe some evil spirit, because, you know, they were always talking about it. So I text Lori and I text Chad. I'm like, I don't remember what I said. Probably, are you awake, or something's wrong, Chad. David, I don't remember what I said. I just remember trying to get to them. So I said, I'm going to go get Lori, see if she can help out. The door was locked. And so I was like, I don't know. She's not, I don't know if I should try to wake her up, or I just decided just to come back and see David.
So you tried the door handle?
It was locked.
Did you knock on it?
Maybe. I probably did, but there was no answer. I don't remember if I probably did, but and I did actually. I think I tried calling her too and texting her, and I think Chad. I think I tried calling him. I thought maybe he could help out. Neither one of them responded to me, as you probably could tell in the text. You probably saw that. Nobody responded to me, so I just went back to bed. And then we woke up next morning, and she was happy, Chappy.
How was David?
He was better. He felt better. He's like, that was a bad dream. Then we would tell them, like, hey, he had a bad dream last night. She's like, oh, that was Julie Rowe. He attacked her. Once again, throw Julie into it. From a distance.
Chad said Julie Rowe attacked David.
Well, Lori probably said it, but, you know, she always went through him. So when I say it's kind of, they're both. They who knows? They both. And then I don't even know what I believe anymore, what she says that he says, because she's such a liar now. At this point, I'm like, I don't know anymore who said what. But between the two of them, they came up with it. They always throw her into the bus, you know. It's because we went, because right before that earlier that day, we went to that lot where, you know, the land was going to be for sale. And so we were talking to a friend of Julie Rose. His name was Keith Levitt. And Keith Levitt was there with his wife, Suzanne. And then the realtor was there. And so, and Alex was there. But Lori wasn't there. David thought she was there. I said, no, she went home after that. He goes, I forgot that. Anyway. And so anyway, because we saw her, we thought, oh, she's going to tell Julie Rowe. Keith is going to tell Julie Rowe that we were there because he saw us, because they're really tight. Keith and Julie are super tight.
We have watched Melanie Gibb distract the investigator from her and what she knows about JJ, Alex Cox, Lori Vallow, and Chad Daybell. When she's asked to talk about key moments, she fidgets, she wipes her nose and sniffles and stutters and everything else. That tells you there's something she's not telling us. And then she starts talking about Julie Rowe being thrown under the bus and how they claim Julie Rowe was spiritually attacking several of them, especially in their dreams at night. So Lori Vallow, who used to adore Julie Rowe and tell her that she was definitely one of God's messengers because she says so, was now hating the woman. I believe that Melanie Gibb did not tell 100% truth here, and she knows it. Hopefully, she will do the godly thing and do so one day. For now, guys, I'm going to close. I wanted to go further with this today, but it's hard to knock these out. I don't think a lot of people know how much I put into these. It's a lot, trust me. You know I love you guys. I think of you all the time. I think of all the times that you guys have gone out of the way to make sure that you like or comment just to try to support the channel. And I truly appreciate it from the very deep bottom of my heart. And I've got so much going on. It's hard for me to get, sometimes show, you guys how much I appreciate you guys. And I really do. I hope you guys have a wonderful new week. And I hope you guys can do me a favor and share one of our missing girls today on your social media. Maybe you can share Jasmine Robinson. And the only thing I ask, guys, please, because I put so much time into these, would you please take a moment to like it, share it, and if you want to continue watching, hit subscribe. Love you guys, and I'll see you guys soon.